252.
Yeah, all right. We'll just say controversial.
I like the
shoehorning
alliteration.
ourselves to 5 because sometimes we only get to 2, but sometimes we go into 25 different things. So yeah,
Well, we're always gonna go all, but I have 5 that
I like to
want us
promise
One,
people a
two, three,
number
four,
because we
five.
never fulfill the actual.
I
You
always
said
love.
5.
I always love to promise a
3
number
ain't
and
enough.
then
I need 5. You know, that's how it goes.
Yeah, that's what the ladies always want. They want 5. I got 3. I'm sorry. What do you want me to do?
They don't want 5.
I was born with. They don't.
They want 8. And you give them 5, you're already.
But they get upset when you give them much more, and then they say like that's too much. So
Yeah.
I got 10.
there are limits to it. I bought these size 17 shoes. The girl at the counter was like, "Mm-hmm." I was like, "Yep, well."
You know what that means? Size 17 socks.
Hey,
Hell yeah, those are harder to find than the shoes.
you know what they say about guys have big nose, big ears, big feet, big hands? You know what they say? He better have a big dick because that is one goofy looking dude.
That's a good.
Yeah.
Okay. With that, you guys ready?
Alfred E. Newman had a huge cock.
Is that the title of this episode?
No.
I'm sorry, Hads. He's still alive.
Well, I guess he probably is. Yeah, they still throw him out there. All right, hey everyone, welcome to another episode of 252. This is Frank G here, along with,
Ralphie D.
Cool Water Kurt.
Johnny Blaze.
and the subject for today is controversial comic book covers. Do we have 252 news and reviews, or are we jumping right into that today?
We actually do have a 252 news and review. So this week, what we're going to start with is in the wake of the devastation of Harvey and the looming doom that is Irma. Our hearts and prayers go out to the men, women, children, first responders, and the volunteers that are dealing dealing with things in this time of crisis.
We don't care about the victims, though.
We
do care about the victims.
Of course, we care about the victims. I started with the victims.
Oh, all right. We do care about.
We
the
care
victims.
about that. And what we were talking about, actually, we were talking about this before we started filming, was how much dealing with Harvey. How much do you think we've learned from
That we are not ready for
From
a huge
Katrina.
devastation.
because
ever.
even with Harvey, like with Harvey, they did get the notice, and of course,
Yeah.
it was kind of like 50-50 of the people who decided to evacuate and the people who were staying. But
Right.
for the people who stayed, of all the clips and stuff that I saw people just coming in with their own boats, whatever
Mhm.
they had. If they had a raft, if they
Yep.
had a little
Helping,
tube in
helping.
and
I
helping
loved
out, and there was a lot of helping.
What my favorite part was seeing dudes in those giant ass trucks. Like, hey, you don't need a truck that big, but then you see them.
Yeah, exactly.
Water, I'm like,
It's
oh,
like,
all right.
yeah, you
good
do
on you.
need a truck
It's
that
like the one occasion when that truck finally pays off. I'm going to use it now.
I'm gonna help the hell out of some mother effers.
Well, you know, I wonder, it's like, how prepared can you be? Because looking at what Japan does for tsunami preparation, they build those big breaks in the
Right.
water,
Mhm.
and they spend a ton of money on it. And then they had a major earthquake, and water leaked into the nuclear reactor,
I know.
and
Yeah.
and caused all the poisoning. It's like, how can you be prepared if the tsunami is 1 inch taller than the breaks they made? The water's going to
The water's
flow
gonna
over.
go.
Well,
Yep.
you can only could the answer to that, and this, hopefully I'm not being too simplistic by saying, I mean, you only can do what you can do. You can prepare prepare your best, but expect the worst. Like, no matter
Yeah.
what you do, something's gonna go.
Something worse is gonna happen.
Something's gonna go south.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
always prepared because I'm going to be a looter.
Come on, give me that new TV.
And
Hell yeah.
And with that being said, it's good. It's good. I don't want to use that, but smartly speaking, the people of Florida were definitely doing their evacuating when they knew Irma was touching down because of the devastation of Harvey.
Right.
And with the last thing I want to say is, for anyone who hasn't, if you haven't already, please take this time to donate. You can text Harvey to 90999, or you can go ahead and donate to your local Red Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Hands
Every little bit helps.
family helping family. I know at my job, we are doing. We've donated a bunch of water.
Yeah, I saw that.
We're
That was
ca-
really
yeah.
cool.
We're canning water
Yeah.
and sending it for disaster relief.
Yeah, I'll be pissed though when I get that Bud Light and I'm like, shh,
Yeah.
water.
Yeah. Well,
Well,
we
I-
I do have a question for you, and that is, should we be worried about the Star Wars franchise? Don't answer yet, but I'm going to say this. Late Tuesday afternoon, Disney dropped a Death Star-sized bomb. Lucasfilm and Colin Trevorrow have mutually chosen to part ways on Star Wars Episode 9. A joint statement from Disney and Lucasfilm read, "It sounded like something we heard before because we had less than 3 months to go when Disney booted Phil Lord and Chris Miller from the Han Solo standalone film." Is there always going to be a shakeup with these Star Wars movies?
I'm gonna say it's not just the Star Wars movies. I'm saying movies in general. I feel I'm blaming, and I'm including us in that.
No, we
in
should.
that
Yeah,
as part of the media. But I'm just saying, just in this information age, I'm thinking back in the day, there was a lot of directors and writers that would drop in and out of projects all the time.
Did we know
We
it?
just didn't know about it.
I'm saying.
yeah.
You know,
Blame Al Gore. He created this internet, so it's on him. And we're getting all this
Well, you know.
information thanks to Al.
This guy had his last movie bombed, I guess, which is partly some of the decision, I'm sure. But realistically, they were all planning their own movies as they were going, and he was set up to do the Leia-focused movie. And now he cannot do the Leia-focused movie because they have to reconfigure a bit because she's not around. So maybe what he was planning and working on was not going to be the movie they're actually going to make. So it was wise for everybody to get, separate now before they started shooting and had to have Opie Cunningham come in to fix it.
Right. But hey, he is our Lord and Savior.
I guess he's doing a great job, man. I mean, it's not like he's not an awesome director, so he should be able to pull it off.
Yeah, and it's not like he hasn't done stuff in space.
My question is, do you think he's going to cast his daughter?
Of course. Which one?
Well, he put Clint Howard in
Bryce-
there somewhere,
Bryce
so we're
Dallas.
good.
Bryce Dallas?
Well, he always puts Clint Howard in.
Oh, yeah, you know Clint Howard's gonna be in it.
Ron Howard and what's his name? Adam Sandler.
Oh,
Clint Howard will stay working in Hollywood
yeah.
till the day he dies.
Real talk.
I just wonder how much control the directors have for these movies, and if the producers have not come in and said this is the way the movie's going to be, and if they butt heads, are fired.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah,
Star
I'm sure
Wars
they-
is the
totally.
second most expensive licensed product in the world.
What's the first?
Disney princesses,
Yeah.
both owned by Disney,
Yeah,
and they will do anything to protect it.
that's true.
And I wonder if, no matter who they put in as director, how much freedom is he going to have to direct?
Well, I could say this.
That's a good.
I have an actual moratorium against the DCEU, so
We're
I'm
going to talk
I'm
about
only
it
gonna
now.
say I'm only gonna say this one thing.
Talk about
A
it.
few things that I'm reading. Josh Whedon is actually doing a lot with the reshoots that he's supposed to be taking over
Mhm.
for the Justice League, because basically they said, Zack Snyder had pretty much the whole movie complete,
Yeah.
and then
Josh got
Jo-
his what is this
Whedon-
shit?
Yep, that's okay. So you're reading the same thing I am.
Yeah.
He was like, there's been massive rewrites, there's been massive things. So it's almost like we're gonna have this is like the Josh who knows? But to answer your question, I feel like certain marquee directors, certain A-list quality, and when I say A-list, you're a proven blockbuster back to back. You've
Yeah,
proven
and
your shit.
that's kind of messed up. I mean, you can't predict what a blockbuster is going to be. Hollywood thinks that they have the key to this algorithm,
Because
Yeah,
they,
that's what a
but they
blockbuster
clearly
is.
don't because
It's locked in a safe with the Coca-Cola classic formula.
and the KFC formula.
Oh no, it's the new Coke.
New Coke.
New Coke is locked away.
Well, that's
Oh
if they
no,
want,
no, classic Coke. You're
If
right.
they want to
Classic.
bring about the apocalypse, they can release New Coke again. It's
I
one
would
of
love
the
to-
four horsemen.
I
That
would
was
love
not.
to see
That was
that
not a
happen.
good. Not a good deal.
No, it's not always a panic moment. I remember when I was waiting for Wonder Woman to come out, and I was real excited. I read Wonder Woman has been delayed because they are completely re-editing the entire film,
Yeah.
and that was like, oh, what did they do? And
Yeah.
then, but when it came out, it was good.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, because it's not. And again, I think that goes back to what I was saying. We're getting a little bit too much information.
I know.
So
yeah,
we're
getting
pushing.
too much into
We're
the
pushing the
minutia of
panic
stuff.
button
Too
too
soon.
very well said.
Thank
too
you.
much of the.
Yeah, I actually thought about that.
See, I push a panic button when here's the moment to hate me, everybody. I pushed a panic button when The Force Awakens came out. I did not like that movie. I want to know why the Jedi always run and hide every time the slightest thing goes wrong.
That's
Well, you have to wait and
consistency.
see. Yeah, you gotta wait.
We have to wait and
we
see.
might
The
find
entire
that out.
movie
Yeah.
is content of wait and see.
Yeah, that's right.
And then
That's
I'm
how they
like,
produce
Well,
you
it.
that's
gotta be
it.
pleased.
They're
I'm
not
saying,
working on
see.
a 2 hour like each of the first three could
Yeah.
kind of stand alone, but it looks like
Yeah.
they're just
But
trying to make
not
a
even.
9 hour
It's
movie here.
yeah.
You know.
I mean,
Right.
when we saw Star Wars Episode 4 way back when, we knew. Wait, there's 3 episodes we've missed.
Yeah.
So much-
It
so
didn't
much-
say
so much
episode 4 the
Star Wars
first time
came
I
out.
saw it. Damn it.
It didn't say episode.
Ah,
That was the re-release and
All
before
right. Well, some of
Empire.
us are a little bit younger than others.
You're
Yeah.
older than me. Everybody's sitting there.
hey, but you know what? Well, we actually talked about this too. I didn't see it when it
Yeah.
first aired. I saw when I first saw Star Wars. It was after Star Wars had probably been out 5, 6, 7 years when I first
Right.
saw Star Wars.
And that was by the time Empire was about to come out.
Right.
So yeah.
Because clearly it was like, because one thing John was talking about, he was like, yeah, when I left The Force Awakens, I really didn't know anybody's name and the characters and blah,
Or
blah, blah.
cared.
Or cared. And I said, well, the difference probably was, he was like, when I saw Star Wars, I did know all of that. And I said, probably not. Probably what you did was you had a bunch of fucking toys. And you had all the toys.
Right.
Yeah.
And then when you saw the movie, you put the two
I
together.
I definitely give you that. But
Yeah.
and we talked about it. Don't tell. I don't want to find out that someone's the best pilot in the galaxy because they said so.
Yeah.
You see Vader come in and take out almost the entire
knew- yeah,
Red
you-
Squadron
You knew
single-handedly.
Yeah.
You know he's a decent pilot. He's the right guy to put in that bird.
Very
But it's
true.
like, oh, he's the best pilot in the galaxy. Hey, no, he said it.
Yeah.
He said it.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's the other thing. Like they've done a lot of tying into the other stuff now. Like there's 15 issues of the Poe Dameron comic that explains all those feats that they didn't shove into the movies.
Right.
But that for the
But you
people that
have
only see the movies, that's like what you just say. They're like, why is this guy getting any? Who's this? And it does separate the audience that way because a lot of people have there's a whole the new Captain Phasma novel that explains
Yes.
a ton of backstory stuff that you go, oh, that character's not a complete cop out bitch. She actually has something bitch in the not good sense, not in the female sense.
Thank you
what
for clarifying
Yeah.
that because
But,
we are all pro women here.
I mean? Yeah, but it's like, wow, there's a ton going on with this character that is not just like, oh, you got shoved in a garbage chute, kind of useless, Boba Fett kind of character going on there. So it's like if you don't get all that stuff, it rings kind of hollow.
Can I say this real quick? I'm attracted to Captain Phasma in and outside of the suit. I feel like
All
that was a nice therapeutic thing for me to say. Carry on.
Indeed.
Chris Jericho was inspired to write his latest book, No is a Four-Letter Word, by Kiss guitarist Paul Stanley. The WWE legend shares his secret to success and crazy stories from his life, including the time he stalked Yoko Ono in a bathroom.
That I want to hear about right now.
I'm going to tell you, I've always been a fan of Chris Jericho. I remember I used to hate Chris
I
Jericho.
Oh, really?
hated him
I
for
always
a hot
loved-
minute. I hated him.
He hated
He
it.
was good at his job. I mean, he was good at being
He was
a
a
heel.
heel. He was good. Remember when Dean Malenko was the master of
Snake on
1,000 moves?
Malenko!
And he was the master of 1,001 moves.
Yeah.
And I remember even like when they talk about backstage stuff, and he had this time where because in WCW when Goldberg, he was the number one guy and everything like that, and Chris Jericho was like telling him like even if you're number one guy, you don't have to be such an asshole. I'm paraphrasing here on the story because they had gotten into a little bit of a beef.
Little heat.
Then they got into a fight, and I guess Chris had him in a rear naked choke. He said I was just mimicking the things that I saw on TV because he was at first he thought Bill Goldberg was going to kick my ass because it's huge,
Right.
and Chris is really my height in real life.
One person on this panel has met Chris Jericho, and that be me.
That was you, and Matt Hardy, right?
Yes. Yeah, I said I love him too. It was
Hardy.
weird.
It was
I was like, all right, we were in a parking lot of a
The Outback.
popular, or I was going to say a popular steakhouse, but
fuck it. It was the Outback.
The Outback Steakhouse, which I hate, but if you want to sponsor us, that's okay. And they were on their way to or from a show. I
It
can't
was
remember.
coming from the
They
show.
were coming from a show in Davis, and they were in the parking lot. I was like, "Oh snap! It's the wrestlers." My girlfriend at the time actually called me and told me they were there. So I got there. I had one of those disposable cameras,
Gotta wait for the flash.
and this
Chris
was in
Jericho.
the days before selfies. So it's not like I took a picture with them. I took a picture of them, me not in it.
Yeah, that works.
I was like, "Hey, you guys," I meant to say, "I love what you do," and I said, "I love you."
I love you. And they were like,
You
thanks,
know,
dude.
Yeah.
they would have totally taken the picture, but you would have been obligated to buy them dinner. You know what I mean? That's how those after. Oh, it's after the
yeah.
show. Let's stop at Denny's, dude. You can, take all the pictures you want.
Thank God they had already eaten. Those guys, they're pretty beefy, but I mean, they were shorter than me, which was kind of cool.
Yeah.
They're everybody.
Like I said.
Yeah, they bill everybody up. Whoever,
Oh,
whatever height they
this-
tell you that someone is, they're like 4 inches shorter than that and
Right.
40 pounds lighter.
The
Okay.
WWF was notorious for doing that.
Mhm.
He's 6'8" and 320 pounds. It's like, wait a minute, I'm looking at him right in his eye. And
Yeah,
I know
dude,
I'm not 6'7".
I turned into the 7'1" gigantic. It's like 7 foot it's pushing it a bit much. I'm 6'6" in the boots with heels, and that's about as good as it gets.
Yeah.
Yeah. The gigantic wonder.
Gigantor. Yeah, I didn't have many matches though because I didn't like that shit. I'm not jumping around out here. I'm supposed to be running sound. Leave me alone. Like, but you're big.
I am so glad that footage exists on the internet. Please link it.
Yeah.
I gotta find it. This whole, it's all out there somewhere because they had, it was all on videotapes for sale at some point. But I don't have the actual tapes, so it's like this grainy, fourth generation
Yeah, that's what I
VHS
saw.
dub on YouTube.
And that's what you gotta love. But anyway, I want to go ahead and get to the review because this 10-minute segment is going long.
We always go long.
So the review this week, we're going to review Batman and Harley Quinn.
The porn.
Yes. Batman and Nightwing join forces with Harley Quinn to stop a global threat brought about by Poison Ivy and the Plant Master. Starring the voice talents of Kevin Conroy, Melissa Rauch, Kevin Michael Richardson, Patrick Brewster, and Bruce Timm as Booster Gold.
That is
Wait.
awesome.
Now-
Is Melissa Rauch playing Harley Quinn?
Yes, she is. And I'm going to tell you this.
Dude.
All right.
Howard.
Yeah. Okay.
Could
so
you hear it?
there's two things that I want to say, and this is I'm going to try to be spoiler free on this. When you hear Kevin Conroy's, the Batman the
Booming.
animated series,
Yeah.
you hear that voice. When Harley Quinn's there, you expect to hear, hey, Mr. J, that voice.
Right.
But then when you hear, the girl from
Big Bang Theory.
The Big Bang Theory, all I can
Oh,
hear
God.
is, oh, it's the girl from The Big Bang Theory. So it kind of takes you out of it a little bit.
Mm.
No, really, because her real voice isn't like. I figured she'd be
I know.
putting on a different
Yeah.
voice.
But she's
But-
putting on, she's putting on the.
Is she actually putting on the?
She's
accent
doing a
as well?
Harley. Yeah, she's doing Harley Quinn. She's doing
Okay.
her version of Harley Quinn. And the other thing I want to say is I felt like this movie. Well, first I'm gonna say again, I did like it very much, and I do still feel that DC animation and television is where it's at. Like they
Good
They-
thing you
they
put
know
that
what they're-
moratorium on the DC thing.
well, DCEU is what I
Oh,
put
okay,
the
all right,
moratorium
I'm sorry.
on. But I'm the.
He's like DC, ew. That's
Ew.
how it is.
But what I'm gonna say is this movie, in
Yeah.
my opinion,
Yeah. Superman,
felt
that's
like
a Jor-El
it
shirt.
was,
That's a good one.
this movie had a little bit of. I felt like there was a little fan service to it,
Yeah,
and I
that they
think it
always
was.
are.
Well, but this
Harley
one,
Quinn
in-
would not
Harley.
be a
I'm
major
saying,
character without doing.
I
fan
also
service.
feel that I don't know what the word for it in comic book terms is, so I'm just gonna use. I feel like this one was more for bronies of
What?
of the.
All right, a
comic book-
brony is a specific thing.
I know
Yeah.
because I feel like they was really selling the Harley Quinn sex, and there's another scene in there. There's a scene in it when you watch it,
Mhm.
and it shows a lot. And I feel like this is for those guys that
Okay.
watch that look at
that
their
are gonna pause it and
and
Yeah.
do stuff to and it was overtly sexual. It was actually I felt Actually,
Were you watching it with your kids?
I didn't, and I was like, I felt like I'm watching a cartoon. I'm watching a Batman cartoon with my kids, and I'm feeling uncomfortable because I'm looking at him, and he's fucking 12, and I'm still like, I don't know. You're right at that age where you're like, yeah, I'm thinking about doing this.
Wow.
And I thought actually, and I thought it was really cool that Bruce Timm, the actual creator of Harley Quinn, was
in on the whole thing. And he did a voice too.
And he was the voice of Booster Gold.
I'm glad to see Booster Gold. He's a good character. You don't see him much anymore.
Oh God, he's always because he's a cornball.
and he's one of those fifth, sixth rate.
Well, and they keep like
but I love you.
Every time they reboot their universe every 6 months, they kill him off and bring him back. So they're never quite sure if they should use him or not.
He's like the Kenny of the DC.
Oh my God!
Oh no! They
Booster
killed
Gold.
Booster Gold. You bastards!
I will avenge. No, he's back. No avenging.
No avenging necessary. Well, with that, Ralphie D recommends CB4.
Where you at?
That's right. A 1993 rapumentary covering the rise to fame of MC Gusto, Stabmaster Arson, and Dead Mike. Great names. We soon learn these three are not what they seem and don't appear to know much about gangster life as they pretend. And this is starring Chris Rock, Alan Payne, Deezer D of Cool as Ice fame, and the late great Charlie Murphy.
Charlie Murphy!
Yeah, you can't say his name.
Get him,
without saying
Gusto.
that.
Kick his ass.
There you go. Yep.
My brother, you seem easily upset.
Turn
I'm licking your balls. I mean,
turn
quotables,
around and eat your big ass biscuit. I mean,
it's my first drive-by.
Chris Elliott.
I mean, there's definitely a lot of quotables in this. I remember being very upset when I first saw CB4. I was like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
And it was another one of those, Chris Rock, you're so fucking amazingly talented, stand up, and then your movies fall flat. However,
upon repeated viewings
of it, I love that movie.
Oh, yeah.
It was way ahead of its time there. Because if you watch it now as like a bonus feature to Straight Outta Compton, it makes perfect sense. It's like Mel Brooks level parody.
Yeah.
Well,
at the time, I honestly didn't appreciate it because you're talking 93. I was 18. And I was like, oh, come on, you guys could have done. But
you know what's awesome? I saw at the Dollar Theater, the deep cover CB4 double feature.
Double feature.
Yes.
Deep cover and
CB4.
Wow, if you could be polar opposites.
I'm saying.
Hey, they did that sometimes there, man. I saw Top Gun and Friday the 13th Part 6 were together for a long time. What the hell?
I saw Cobra and Commando. We had to sit in the aisle because they weren't counting.
Cobra and Commando? Holy crap.
It was
that's Sylvester Stallone.
Remember the theater would show old movies for 75 cents?
Yeah, the Dollar Theater.
The
That's
Americana.
where I saw
the Americana.
Showcase Cinema.
Not Conan, Commando and Cobra.
Wow. Two movies.
I have not seen CB4, but I remember the movie poster. Shows Chris Rock smiling as CB4 on the jewelry team.
MC Gusto.
Do you remember the poster?
Sweat on my balls.
Straight out of Low Cash.
Straight out of Low Cash. Come on.
I mean, come on. It's a classic.
I'll have to watch it.
Well, I'm Ralphie D, and that's news to me.
And I'm Coolwater Kurt. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
252.
Adonis, pull yourself together.